You're listening to Out Loud and Live with JC Alvarez. On this episode, pop music sensation and musician Yanni Burton sharing insights on his new single, A Part of Me, and its incredible video. Yanni Burton, pop star and musician extraordinaire.
Oh, wow, you flatter me. You give me a big ego.
You know, the best parts of I think of my job is when you get an opportunity to discuss with an emerging artist their craft, especially someone who has such a diverse catalog as you do. Because I mean, you're classically trained. You're a bass musician,
Yeah, it's
and
that hiding in the corner over there. I don't know if you can
oh
see.
my
Not
gosh.
staged at all.
I always wonder, I wonder like because I remember in school when we'd have those music lessons and music classes and you'd pick an instrument. Were you
Mm.
always drawn to the bass?
Not at all. I must have been in like, I don't know, fifth or sixth grade. I think I wanted to play the flute, and the music program, or the head of the music program at school, they were like, yeah, no, here's a bass. And they just like gave that to me. And I was like, okay, whatever, it's cool. So it was just kind of like handed to me because there was not that many bass players around, and it was a great program. It was the school was it just a well, it was a public school, but they had funding from the government to have all the kids choose an instrument to play and get free music
Mm.
lessons. So it's very lucky. Kind of just like fell into my lap, literally. Like, here, play the bass. Yeah, and I kind of fell in love with it. I wouldn't say it was love at first sight because it's like a beast to play and
It's
transport.
yeah, it's kind of it's intimidating.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot to like wrap yourself around, and it takes many years to kind of like fully appreciate everything that has to offer. But like, I could tell from the get-go that it was an instrument that would stay with you for a long time, but also take you to many different places because people don't play it. So even if you didn't play very well, which at the time I was very small and young and couldn't play anything, they're like, oh yeah, you play great bass, great, you can play in our band or you can do this ensemble. So I got a lot of early on opportunities to, yeah, play and get exposed to music. So it was cool. It
Oh,
was a
that's
blessing.
that no, it's brilliant, and I always love when because you're a pop star. You're known for a very contemporary electronic sound.
Mhm.
You infuse a lot of organic instrumentation into your music, but you have to have this very at the core. Your roots are classical. I mean, it's like when you're working with something like a bass instrument, you really are. That's really what I like to call real music. You're like really
Oh, that's sweet.
ingrained and in the heart of all music. Speaking to that, has a lot of your classical training informed sort of like how you approach your pop music sound?
Yes and no. Like, definitely was the bridge into coming into pop music. I think my earlier stuff, I kind of relied more on my orchestral experience and small knowledge on arranging and composition to
Mhm.
kind of then take that and put it into more of a contemporary song structure
Mhm.
and sound. But I barely, I mean, I scraped the surface of like my knowledge on contemporary music and production and all the sounds that are accessible. So I collaborate with other producers to kind of really get the sound that I want, because I really have, half the time it's like it's beyond my means to create all these electronic sounds. So I will
Mm.
pair with another artist, and together I will kind of give them all these verbal diarrhea, and they're like, I think you mean this sound. And yeah, how did you know? It's like, well, we've been sitting here for 2 hours and like
It's like, why did you
um
say that at the beginning of this
yeah,
conversation?
yeah, exactly. So it was definitely a bridge to kind of what I do more of now. But yeah, so I feel like classical music has less uh direct involvement for my later songs, but it got me there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I mean, it's like it's. I think some of the best pop artists of our time, like I love Justin Timberlake, of course. I think he's one of the best contemporary artists. Christina Aguilera, I think, is a wonderful vocal musician. But a lot of these artists, from the '90s that emerged in the '90s, that we kind of like dismiss them for being sort of like part of the machine and the fabrication.
Yeah.
They all have really, at their core, they're all musicians. They all really studied, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
the different genres, and they know
Hmm.
vocalists, they know jazz, and I think that that's so beautiful, and they've immersed themselves and continue to immerse themselves. You're from
Hmm.
Australia. You're a transplant now to our grand
Yeah.
city of New York City. Welcome as the official
Yes.
ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I've almost, I hate to, I think I may have reached my 10-year mark in the city.
So you're a New Yorker. You're now you're
Yeah, I think I'm on the cusp. But I've been here a little while now. But yeah, no, I'm originally from Australia. I grew up there, and then I came over to the States for my studies, college studies, to do my undergrad in San Fran, and then masters over here in New York, and then stayed. Here I am.
and here you are, and lucky for us. Is it a major I mean, it's like, New York City is sort of like made up of all kinds of parts of the world, but
Hmm.
I'm always curious, is like, is it really such a major culture shock to come from Australia over to, because it's so far away.
Yeah, it's not so much a culture shock. It's just a different like mentality. I wouldn't say work ethic, but it's just like different vibe, like you get from any city, like right. You get a totally different vibe. It's still similar in culture. It's
Yeah.
just, I guess one thing is access. You don't have the access that something like New York
Right.
offers, and the opportunities. And then to that, then like, what are you working towards if you're in a,
Yeah.
so like this city brings certain things out of you that might not happen elsewhere. So
Mhm.
Australia, like it wasn't so much of a culture shock, just a change of pace, I think is a good way to put it. Like
Yeah.
Australia is much more, the vibe was more relaxed for me anyway. I mean, I can't speak to it now because I don't live there. But I felt like the gears really started changing when I moved to first San Francisco. And then San Francisco now feels sleepy compared to New York. Like I don't want to
Interesting.
say that, but like I mean I just said it,
No.
but it
No,
just feels like it's a different kind of, it's a different grind. It's not like,
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
better or worse. It's just a different pace and there's different expectations.
Yeah. The West Coast definitely is different. Or do you feel inspired? I mean, because everyone, of course, everyone harkens back to that wonderful story of every artist that comes to New York City with $35 in their pocket,
Hmm.
and like, do you feel inspired in the city?
Yeah, absolutely. Um I definitely feel inspired. Like the first, especially when I was doing my masters, and then the years following that, like figuring out how to survive, how to pay rent, how to like
Mm,
eat and all that stuff. Um, that was definitely like as hard as some moments were, like the most inspiring times, because you're like, okay, how am I gonna make ends meet? What can I do that's creative but also makes money? I don't have a green card, so I can't work like traditional jobs.
yeah.
I finally have a green card. But yeah, it really puts you in these unique situations where, okay, why don't I try doing, like I did street performing once and I got a gig to China from playing bass on the side of the street in
Oh,
front of
that's great.
Zaybars on 81st Street.
Yes.
I'm just like
Yes.
playing the bass and some guy like drops his guy and is like, pull me, I got a gig. I was like, okay.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
So there was like all these like kind of quirky moments like earlier on that really does inspire you to like do anything and everything in this city. Which yeah, I think really builds you as an artist. Like, it's not always the best when like you can't make ends meet. This city is like, it's a big gig economy, not now, unfortunately, which is another whole thing. But yeah, it's definitely an inspiring place, and it's like probably 90% attributed to where I am now,
Mhm.
more than the rest of my formative years. So yeah.
Gotcha. I see that. I want to talk about the single, "A Part of Me."
I flick through all my memories of you. Drunk, so drunk, all my memories of you. No, no escape. All my thoughts of you rush through me. Time tap my veins.
And I hope it's not too big a leap to get into, because you know it's like I really want to digest um, the really sort of like what I call the dark seduction of that song. You know, even the video is, when you're listening to it, you kind of, there's almost like this lucid dark memory that starts to happen as you're hearing it, and then when you see the video, it's one of those perfect marriages. You go, this is exactly how I hear this song in my head.
Oh, that's cool. That's good to
So
hear.
yeah, and it is really interestingly produced. You co-produced it with your friend Tiger Darrow on that track. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of A Part of Me, which is your current single.
Yeah. Well, the subject, I guess, where that came from, it was kind of like almost like a diary entry for me, like just reflecting on a previous relationship and everything that was still with me at that time, just putting it all on paper, and it turned into the song. It's kind of, yeah, it's about all of those memories and feelings that you still carry with you, even though you may have moved on to another relationship or to another part of your life that people don't necessarily see, but it's still very much there. So kind of that's the genesis of the subject of the song. And then musically, I had written it kind of a while ago now, but I'd done it for string quartet and just quintet, actually. Yeah, so I had a friend of mine, another Australian, actually, Aussie, who lives in New York. He helped me with all the string arrangements. He did this, like,
which are beautiful. They're beautiful. They blend so organically into the very electronic feel and very modern, because it's a very you know, after hours song. Like, you know, you'd hear this song like at 3 a.m, and it would charge you again, you know. Charge, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so it had just been just strings, like the whole thing, and vocals. And then I took it to Tiger, who does a lot of my tracks, and I was like, I want to make it more of a dance electronic track. I still want to keep it super moody and dark, but I do want to incorporate the strings, but I don't want it to be just about strings. I want it to kind of be a springboard for us to create another soundscape. And then Tiger was able to take that. She did some awesome editing, mixing, cutting, like playing around with the strings, and then added her vibe on top of that. And that's how we kind of got the end result.
The vocal arrangement is also interesting, because your voice is clear, and you know, in a lot of your previous tracks, it's like, you know, we hear the power of your vocal, and in here you rely on a couple of electronic things that create this sort of like distance that gets, you know, it emotionally starts moving you, because it's sort of like, I'm like, wow, that really had to be thought out as far as like creating that dimensionality with the vocal arrangements. Are you cool with that? Are you cool with the contemporary and electronic use of sort of like auto tuning and altering your voice and mixing it with your actual vocal to get a song across?
Absolutely. I think there's like boundless ways you can make music, and like I think some of the most successful artists, obviously you have to be like really talented at your craft, and it takes a long time to keep working. I feel like I've only chiseled off a little bit of that, but like I think the more you experiment and collaborate, like the cooler. You never know what you're going to end up with. So like for me, I used to kind of just write my songs like by myself and like be not precious about it, but like maybe almost nervous to share and collaborate. But now like that's kind of what I love doing, is like working with other artists. Like, okay, this is a song that I had, this is the project I have. I would love to get your artistic insight and see what we can come up with. And like, yeah, an element like that, for example, like I would never know how to do that myself. So that's why working with someone like Tiger, who can like make these beautiful soundscapes and create all these other effects and like bring the piece to another level.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
the
yeah.
video, the video is extremely avant-garde. It's
Hmm.
when I was watching it, it reminded me, and I'm going to age myself here. It had a sort of like inspired by Grace Jones. I mean, it's
Cool.
things
Thank you.
it's things that Grace
Sorry,
Jones
coming the
actually
way.
played. No, no worries. It's a visual that Grace Jones popularized and played with a lot. And that, as I was watching it, I was like, this is great. It's harkening back to that. But again, it evokes the solitude of the track, the sort of like
Hmm.
isolation that you feel in it, and a little bit of loneliness. But what was it like doing that video? And was that shot? I mean, of course, because right now we're in quarantine and COVID. Was that done during the our current quarantine?
So it was actually done the end of last year,
Oh,
2019.
brilliant!
So well before. And it was done. So the mastermind behind the video comes from Cassidy Noblet. He is a fantastic creator. Well, he's foremost a dancer and a choreographer, but he's everything really. Like he is himself a musician, an artist, and physical artist. But he runs a dance workshop with his sister, commercial dance intensive. Hopefully I'm saying that right instead of I am a and
you gotta get that
I know. I was
in.
like, I'm like, no, but they invited me to. So every year they do a music video with a up and coming pop musician, and Cassidy had invited myself to come along, and I gave him the track. I gave him a couple of options, and this is the one that spoke to him the most. And he said he got the inspiration from a art installation in LA, where he went into this room, and then you can there's this giant color scope all around. You could add your own flashes of paint or whatever. And then he's like, oh wow, this is kind of a cool idea. I wonder if we could play with that effect of like turning off the lights and then you see what's hidden underneath rather than the opposite way. So he came up with that concept, and we ran it by together. But apparently I kind of gave him the steering wheel. I'm like, I love this concept. I love the vibe you're going. You really kind of obviously hit the nail on the head with the theme, the vibe. Let's run with it. And so he created this whole other world that he then got 40 dancers and made a black box studio, and we shot the whole thing in one day from like 5 a.m. till midnight. And it was crazy because it seems like it wouldn't be too complex, but there was I don't know, let's say there's 10 different scenes in it, and they all have UV paint. So you got to get painted, and then you got to wash it off, and if there's a single mark, you'll see it. So every 3 minutes, oh, stop, you got to clean up one of the dancers or whatnot, or me. But it was and these guys did it, we did it on a shoestring budget. It was amazing how he was able to kind of create this whole entire other world just in one day with very minimal resources. It came down to the talent that he brought in to create. So he brought in the most incredible team of artists to build the world, and that's where you get the quality and the authenticity of the project. So yeah, he had some other instructors from the course there, some fantastic dancers from LA and New York, all big mega superstars that I would never oh my god, they tour with Gaga, Beyonce, and all this. And I'm little old me just standing there trying to move. It's so embarrassing.
No, it's that's the wonderful part about art, when art is collaborative, and you said that you do you're inspired by the collaborative process. I love your single Mess Around, but I prefer the remix with Torna. I think that is such a beautiful
it's a
energy
evolution of that song. I think I mean, I don't want to say I prefer it, but it's
I can say that
you can choose whatever vibe you're in, right? So the Torna remix is definitely more you know, a little bit more geared up, maybe a little more sexual, like
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
more
yeah.
like let's go out and have a little bit more fun. The other one's a bit more kind of darker and ominous and underground, and yeah.
It's
But so
the introspection of the song is not lost
mm,
in the remix. The remix just has it just evokes it's just a groovy sound, and then
yeah,
the blending of of just how it's all coming together is just magical, and I love that. I love the process of like when you can collaborate and
hmm
you get sort of like a whole new track. When you hear your songs, when you collaborate with a remix producer and you hear your song, do you sort of like envision it differently, or is it still inherently feel like yours?
um, I mean, yeah, definitely still feels like, yeah, it feels like a song. Like not gonna say my song because it is
Mhm.
collaboration. Like the other artist has put just as much work into it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it feels like I recognize it. It doesn't feel
yeah,
foreign or anything like that.
yeah.
And it's exciting, like to kind of get the song back after like. So I'll hand it over. I'll know kind of what it's gonna sound like based on the artist that I'm working
Right.
with. So Torna, I kind of knew what it was gonna not what it was gonna sound like, but I knew his style, and we kind of chatted about it. And when it came back, I was like, "Holy crap, this is awesome!" So there's still an element of surprise and shock,
Yeah.
but like good. And then I did another remix of it too, and it's like completely another whole different vibe and whole another world. And that's what I love about collaborating. Is like you never know quite what you're gonna get, and it's always it feels like something new and something special and something on its own, but it's still connected,
Mhm.
which is fun.
You use your music, your lyrics are extremely introspective, and almost feel like you're exercising emotions. Is that the stage that you're at with your music? Because sometimes you have a lot of some artists who just they just want to play, they just want to be playful.
Yeah.
You're tackling some subjects and some emotions in your songs. Is that how you're using your tracks right now, your music right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I have been since I started writing. I would like to maybe move away a little bit from that. I think the most of the stuff that I've been actually I say I'm trying to move away and then I'll probably release another like sad like oh so no. But I would like to move away from that and try a different kind of not sure theme story. Like I would like to have a little bit more not fun, just like maybe some light something just a different subject, I guess.
Mm,
I mean, I love writing about, relationships and love and all of that. And I think a lot of it that had stemmed from previous relationships that I was still, working through and getting over. But I would like to, yeah, go into a different era, I think.
mm.
But I've got one or two up my sleeve that are definitely within the same vein, same theme.
I have no doubt, especially your music is very authentic. It has a
Thank
very
you.
unique sound, and we as the audience definitely register you, and we get you just from listening to what you're conveying, which
Nice.
draws me to the my next question. You know, the world of pop music is so visual, and
hmm
it's all about a putting a package together. Do you find that sex is an ingredient that is necessary, that is still an ingredient that's inherent in popular music, or is it something that's authentic? Do you feel it's something else that's authentic to you because you seem like you're very much comfortable in your skin?
Yeah. The diplomatic way
Is
to
it,
put it.
you saw how I came over?
No, I am comfortable. No, I think you got to like. I think that it is definitely a component of like any sales industry, really. Um, and especially pop music. I think my experience and visuals and kind of, I guess, utilization of that is partly yes. I think it like it's definitely something that we all see in every single music video, and every artist, I feel like, most artists anyway. But for me, I felt like it was, for me, I felt like it was giving me confidence. I felt very, I mean, when I started writing music, that's when I came out. And I was tackling kind of the issue of like, well, how's the audience gonna accept that? Who am I speaking to? So it was kind of an evolution of figuring that out. And then I was like, okay, I'm gay. I'm gonna write about the same-sex relationship. I'm telling my story. I'm not gonna, this is a real authentic experience. So, and some of the stories are sexual, and like I am a sexual person. And I felt, for me, it was empowering, and I enjoyed taking my clothes off. So, oh my God.
And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's
right.
And you can tell like when it's not an inherent component in an artist, when sex appeal has been around since like Elvis Presley, and like, it's like, it wasn't forced. It was just something that was present in the artist. It was something that was just there. They just exuded it and used it to their
advantage. That point, I don't think I've ever said like, oh, everyone needs to be naked and hot. Like, it's just like, for the mess around video, I like the idea of the underground world. Like, we had all sorts of shapes and sizes, but everyone was very sexy. Like, if everyone brought that kind of confidence and sex appeal, no matter like what shape, gender, size, whatever's happening, like it still felt authentically sexy. And that's kind of the first thought I have. And then, I'm obviously conscious of it, but like every project that we've done, like it hasn't been, oh, this needs to be hot, this needs to be sex. It's like, this is the story. It just so happens he's naked. Like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? It's, right now we're sort of like in a very unique time. And as an independent artist, are you finding that with the rules kind of like changing, you really have sort of like a wider way of reaching your audience as an independent artist? Is that appealing to you? Are you finding it, especially given the fact that, right now what we're dealing with on the global pandemic, are you finding this a time where you can still connect with your audience and be creative as an independent artist that, quite frankly, a lot of major label artists, they have to go the route now of being independent artists because their labels can't back them. Do you find that this is a really encouraging time for you as an artist?
Yes and no. I feel like, definitely the access to audience digitally has expanded, and people are wanting more and more content. But for me personally, I feel like it's being kind of more of a time to kind of like step back. I've been playing more bass. I've been like doing my own thing more rather than putting content out and being present. I don't know why. It's just kind of like the space I've been in during the pandemic. And I've seen a lot of artist friends like suffer from not having gigs and not being able to collaborate with other artists, not being able to play in orchestras. So for me, like, I didn't feel it was my space or my time to kind of like, well, I have all this stuff to show you and blah, blah, blah. Felt like, I was like, okay, I need to think about what I'm going to do next and let other people have their space that they need. I just didn't think it was the right time to kind of be out there and be present. I felt like other people needed it more, and I don't know, it just didn't feel right. So I haven't really done much like in the last 6 months, besides, I have other things going on, but it's been nice to reconnect with playing classical music, which I've been doing a lot of, and just writing. I haven't like created anything, but I've done a lot of writing, a lot of playing. So next year we'll see. We'll see what headspace we're in.
this is not going to last forever, and I would imagine that. And you said that you know your music is evolving, and you want to explore new things.
Mhm.
What do you envision next year? Hopefully, of course, looking positively to a world where we'll all get back together, and are you
Yeah.
looking forward to reconnecting with your audience, and is that the plan, sort of like to get new music in their hands and get back on stage? Is that something you're looking
Yeah,
forward to?
absolutely. I'm working on releasing more music. I definitely want to put out a bunch more, which I have. I just haven't pushed it out there yet. And yeah, I mean, I miss live performances a lot. And
Mm,
it's a it financially it can be straining to put on live shows, but it's like the most fun. Like that's what, and I feel like New York is that city. Like it's about going out to clubs and bars and performing, meeting new people, making those relationships. I also look forward to meeting a lot and collaborating with a lot more people. Like it's hard to now, and you can do it digitally, and we have, but I miss that
mm,
connection, that seeing people.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think myself along with everyone is ready for it. Hungry for some human interaction
and also
outside of
and
the
all
screen.
and also you will have a wedding to get to. You're engaged,
Yeah,
so
yeah. We were supposed to get married this year, in August, and then obviously couldn't do it.
damn you,
I
COVID.
know, I know, but it's okay. Like, I mean, we're all in this together. So at first, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, it's sad, but like, I was like, well, I mean, people are dying. We can wait to have a wedding. It's fine. I'm not going to be upset about that. Like, we'll do it when it's safe, like when everyone can be together and we can probably like be in the moment and not worried about like this country and the world collapsing around us. So yeah, that's a good thing to look forward to in essence.
Well, we're that's the part that I miss, and especially in a city like this, where we depend on our artists to inspire us. We depend on our artists to give us that energy. They really are. I almost look at it as artists and performers. Broadway, everything. That's the electricity of our town.
Mm,
That's the blood that runs through the veins that kind of like gets everyone excited about this city. And it's wonderful to hear that you're maintaining an optimism. You're focused on your art, and you're really also putting it out there so that
thanks.
all of us can consume it. Just kind of tame down that Instagram.
Yeah, I've been on a hiatus for a while, so although I sometimes when I open up my page, I was like, I haven't posted in a while. The first thing I see is like, whoa, I posted that 2 months ago. Why did I do that? Should I hide that? Like, what's going on? My mom texted me yesterday. It's like, genuine question. Like, I don't want to be rude, but like, why do you put that on the internet? Like, people see that. I'm like, Mom, I look good. Whatever. Can't I work hard for this?
God bless her.
She was like, all right, well, I don't want to see it. I was like, well, you're looking at it. You're looking at it right now.
It's how I came into the world, Mom. It's how I.
No, no, she's very supportive. My whole family is a bit of an overshare. So my brother and sister too they like to post frequently. My sister more. I think I might be the bad influence on them. They're younger, but we're all
Well,
kind of in the same boat. My poor mom has to tell her friends like, just don't look at my children's Instagram page.
she's like, would you please release a new song? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah, it's something else.
just just to distract from that. I'm sure that
Yeah,
no one is complaining, and by all means, it certainly, if it keeps you inspired,
it's fun.
let it.
I enjoy it. Fitness is a big part of my life now, and like if I'm gonna spend like an hour a day doing this and that, like I don't feel. I feel like why not share it? Like it's something that I'm working towards. Like music, I spend hours and hours a day doing it. Fitness is also something that like takes a lot of effort. I never used to be into it. As a kid, I was very overweight, and then like once
Mm.
I started doing it, I was like, okay, this is like a serious thing that people dedicate time to and like put a big effort into it. Not saying that that's what you have to do, but for me, it's like I enjoy it, and I feel
Yeah.
like I'm somewhat proud of the accomplishments and like the results and stuff. So I don't know, post a pic every now and then.
It's just another part of you, another part of
Yeah,
me.
and each to their own. Hey, there you go.
Hey, see how I
It's
did
a full
that?
circle. Very clever.
Hey, thanks for spending some
Yeah,
time
yeah.
with me. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
you
it.
too. Great
And
conversation. I appreciate it.
so wonderful sharing your music and continued success. I'll be definitely watching, and it's just gonna be fun once this quarantine is over, when you can get out there and
Yeah, see people, have fun, go to shows, go see orchestras, anything. Like, I'm ready. Let's do it.
we're all ready, my friend.
Safety first, but we're all ready. I feel
We're
it.
all ready. All
Yeah.
right, stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. And God bless. And again, keep it going.
I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time in the chat. It was fun.
Absolutely. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Out Loud and Live with JC Alvarez. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to our guest, Yanni Burton, for stopping by and sharing his new single. A Part of Me is available on iTunes.